Good evening, everyone. Good evening. People that are coming into this planning meeting, but it is just 6:30, and we definitely started on time. We do have a limited amount of time, so I want to welcome you all. Thank you so much for joining us for our Transforming Communities Planning meeting. Today is March 25th, 2020, and this is part of our Transformative Solutions for Healthy and Vibrant Communities, which is certainly the goal for this charrette. We will have a series of these meetings. This first charrette will be an overview. Now, a charrette in and of itself is to involve the community and stakeholders so that collectively we can make determinations on how we want development, specifically economic development, to occur. The area of focus today is our Henson Creek transit area. Many of you are familiar with it. In the event that you're not, you will learn through Maryland National Capital Park and Planning, who will present today, where the actual areas that we're discussing. So there shouldn't be any confusion. To start off, the scope of this is going to be, for today's charrette, is an overview of the existing roadmap for development. And that roadmap for development is currently the 2035 general plan, which is in existence. This is based on a 2006 sector plan for our area in the southern part of the county and District 8. This is important to know because from time to time there are issues that were important maybe when this was put together that are not priorities today. So we want to be able to review and use these charrettes as opportunities to talk about how to either expand or make changes to what's currently in this plan. In the future, we will be focusing on, in the future charrette, as I said, we'll have a series of these charrettes. We will focus on environmental constraints. Development is very much focused on not just the building or what you like to produce, but what limitations are to that end. So having an environmental charrette is important so that the community understands what limitations do exist. And that would involve, of course, some of our stakeholders in the community, WSSC certainly, as they development capacity is greatly focused in within that area. Stormwater management, which we know is a big part of some of our challenges with flooding and otherwise. And then, of course, infill development versus raw land development. And this all lends to some of the challenges that we have currently with flooding. The next, another one will be transit focused, which is transportation. Transit to us may not mean Metro Rail. In fact, it's likely that it will not be Metro Rail coming to that area, but transit in that some sort of bus rapid transit that goes into that area. There's justification for transit when there's density. So we're looking at vertical development, and to the degree that that can be accomplished, we want to maximize with that. And also we'll have another charrette that speaks to what mixed-use development is, what that means. You hear the term all the time, but what that means tenant mixes. It means, if you have a 175-acre site, if you're planning on having density with vertical development, that you include the amenities that people would anticipate having to support them, including health and wellness, which has probably been highlighted over the last several years. I do want to say that
some of the
as a community, our whole focus is on health, developing a healthy and vibrant community. And we want to make sure that you are safe even during this time. We want to make certain that you are safe during this period of time, and that any of your needs that you may have, immediate needs, feel free to call my office, contact my office. We're still very active. We are working remotely, but we're still working very hard for you. At this point, I do want to move on into the planning discussion and highlight the next steps. All right, and I'd like to introduce, or maybe I should just say acknowledge, those who have been extremely helpful in getting this meeting together and assisting us in putting together this this Join Me today. We have Chidi, and forgive me, I'm not great with pronunciations, but I do want to mention you, Iyo Zulu, who is one of our planners. We have Fred Statura, who with Maryland National Park and Planning as well, as one of our planners. We have one of our consultants here today. I'm sorry, I want to also mention Adele Gravitz, Meha Tariq, Jonathan Green, and Rashidi Jackson as well, who will be working on this project, and they're with Maryland National Capital Park and Planning. I do want to also mention that we do have a consultant who is listening in and will be helping us, and we're looking forward to getting more development consultants in months to come. Obviously, we've had some challenges due to this coronavirus and getting people on board, but we will be moving forward. And we'll be as effective as we can be. We don't want to miss any time. That's why we decided to have this charrette, even though it's online. We think it's important to start getting your feedback and getting information out to you. We do recognize that there's a limited number of people who will be participating in a charrette of this type, mainly because this is technology-based, and many of us are used to meetings where we can voice our opinion in a room, where you don't have to be stressed out and figure out how to get on to this Join Me. For those of you who did choose to get on, we appreciate it, but please recognize we'll probably have some repetitiveness in this once we're able to meet as groups in getting this information to the masses, because that's important to do. With that said, I do also want to mention Kipling Reynolds, Division Chief, who's been extremely helpful, and Derek Berlage. On that note, I think we can toss it to the next slide. All right, and the discussion today will be on the Henson Creek Village Area Study. As I mentioned at the top of this, the focus for this charrette is an overview of the current 2035 general plan, which within it has the 2006 sector plan for our area. Chidi, I believe I am tossing this to you. Chidi, can you hear me?
Okay, great. This is Fred.
This is Fred. Okay, I'm sorry, Fred.
That's quite all right. That's quite all right. We were muted for a period of time, but I'd want to thank you, Councilmember Anderson Walker, for your introductory remarks. And as mentioned, my name is Fred Statura, and I am the supervisor in the Neighborhood Revitalization section of the Community Planning Division, which is all part of the Planning Department in Prince George's County. And again, I do want to thank our leadership, our leader, Kip Reynolds, who's the division chief. And in particular, I really want to give kudos to our fantastic staff here, which, as the council member mentioned, Chidi Umazulo. Chidi is our project manager for the Henson Creek Village Area Study. And with me tonight are a couple of our team. I have Jonathan Green and I have Adele Gravitz. And unable to be here tonight because of our constraints and social distancing. On our team, as mentioned, is Maha Tariq and Rashidi Jackson. So we've all been, this team's been working great together, and we've all been very cognizant about our constraints given the current situation with the coronavirus. We've put together kind of a staging area here in the conference room so that this could happen. And we're all practicing responsible social distancing. So we're all new to this as we experience this new world and this new virtual meeting style. So please bear with us as far as any technical or noise issues that may arise. We'll try to address those as we proceed with the meeting. But I do want to also welcome all of our online participants. I hope you find this overview of the purpose and direction of the Henson Creek Village Study to be useful. So right now, I do want to say, in addition to our team here at Park and Planning, we will be utilizing external consultant expertise, particularly in the areas of environmental assessment, which includes issues such as flooding, and also in economic analysis for the area. So we'll be engaging in the future some of these consultants as we continue with this project. So at this point, I would like to turn the meeting over to Chidi, the project manager, who will take you through our PowerPoint presentation, and I will be back to make some final comments on this PowerPoint. So thank you very much.
Good evening, everybody. Fred, thank you very much for the introduction. I want to start with talking about the goals of the study. The goal of this study is to evaluate the opportunities for the development by evaluating the real estate market and environmental conditions as they affect the study area and the role the new zoning ordinance will play in the development character and vision for the study area. We are here today to kick off the Henson Creek Village area study and share some background information with the community, the area that you live and know so very well. This meeting was earlier planned to be an interactive meeting with the community, but due to coronavirus, we have to abide by all the new norms until the dust settles. Then we can go back to our normal ways of doing business. Next slide, please. Before I go further in the presentation, there are some short planning vocabularies that I would like to explain because you will hear them as we go through the presentation. The first one is the general plan, with the logo shown on the top of the slide that reads, Plan Prince George's 2035, guiding today and tomorrow. This plan sets out the general long-range vision for the entire county. The plan provides the framework for other small areas such as master plans and sector plans. The second tier is the master plans and sector plans of the slide shown on the slide. How this works is using the guidance or framework of the general plan, planning staff works with the community and other public agencies to develop recommendations or roadmap for future decision making, balancing all elements such as the land use, transportation, environment, parks and recreation, public facilities, economic development, housing, and so on and so forth. Then there is the zoning ordinance, which is a written regulation and law that defines how property in specific geographic zones can be used. The zoning ordinance specifies whether zones can be used for residential or commercial purposes. and also regulates lot sizes, how it's placed, and how much can be built, and the height structures of the structures. Next slide. This slide shows you a map of the entire study area today, looking from above and shown in yellow. The study area contains one of the two proposed transit villages along Indian Head Highway, or Maryland 210, shown on the map with pink lines. The study area is bounded in the east by Indian Head Highway, in the west by Toll Bryan Estate Subdivision, and in the south by Oxon Hill Road and Old Fort Road and Brook Creek Historic District. The predominant uses are auto-oriented commercial and industrial land uses, anchored by the Livingston Square Shopping Center, where the Giant is currently located, and that is also shown on the map with a green arrow. Then the Henson Creek Valley occupies at least 1/3 of the project area outside the pink line. Next slide. This slide shows the cover page of the applicable plan document for the area. As I mentioned earlier, Henson Creek South Potomac Master Plan was approved in 2006 and is the document that guides future development with its boundary that includes the study area. The front page picture shows a vision for the redevelopment of Oxon Hill Center with tree-lined roadways where cars, pedestrian, and transit share the roadway and providing pedestrian activities on the ground level and in the storefronts. Next slide. This slide shows a simple summary of the master plan concept. Red with yellow stripes shows where mix of uses are recommended. Solid red shows commercial and light brown checkers where multifamily shows commercial and light brown checkers where multifamily residential development exists or proposed, and yellow shows where single-family residential development exists or proposed. The preparation of the master plan was guided by the 2002 general plan. This general plan designated National Harbor, a metropolitan center, Oxon Hill Center, and Rivertown Shopping Center as a regional center, and Maryland 210 as a corridor. The 2002 general plan policy was to concentrate or direct future development to centers and corridor nodes. During the preparation of the plan, it was assumed that rapid transit, which was then Purple Line, was going to run along the Beltway through Oxon Hill Road and National Harbor to Virginia. That is shown in blue dashed lines on the north of the map. Bus transit would run along 210 to the District of Columbia, shown in light blue dashed lines, all the way down to Charles County. As a result, the plan proposed two transit villages, which stops at Maryland 210, the Henson Creek Transit Village, and the Brook Creek Transit Village. Next slide. Then in 2014, a new general plan, the Plan Prince George's 2035, was approved to replace the 2002 general plan. and sets the vision and future direction for Prince George's County into the year 2035. This current general plan recognizes master plans and sector plans approved prior to its adoption. Plan 2035 identifies different categories of centers. However, the study area is within the established communities, which has a vision for context-sensitive infill and low to medium density development. Next slide. This slide shows the existing land use map. As you can see, or as you know, the area very well. The orange color shows the developed area, where commercial and retail are predominant land uses. The pink color shows where most of the industrial uses are located. There is a 4-story office development, the South Potomac Professional Center. And the rest in green is wooded Henson Creek Stream Valley. Next slide. This map shows the FEMA 100-year floodplain, wetland, and Maryland National Park and Planning Commission property. Issues have been raised about the increase in flooding and the general concern about protecting the environment. A consultant or a specialist in that area will be hired to advise on the best way to achieve the vision of the master plan while ensuring we protect our valuable environmental, cultural, and historic resources, and explore environmental assets opportunities as part of the study area redevelopment. Next slide, please. This slide shows the future land use map. The area in purple shows the built environment and is designed for mixed land uses. It is envisioned that the redevelopment of the area will require a mix of uses to realize the pedestrian-oriented Main Street village and provide the residential density needed for the proposed bus transit. When we talk about mixed use, we are referring to uses which usually are separated from each other, such as the commercial use and residential use. The mixed land use encourages horizontally or vertically mix, where you have commercial on the ground level and residential on top. Existing woodland is preserved to protect environmental sensitive areas in green and residential low density in greenish yellow up in the north. Next slide, please. This slide shows a diagram of a design concept. All it is a design concept. The design concept is an illustration that portrays a long-range redevelopment scenario that may result from the implementation of the recommended land use concept for the Henson Creek Transit Village area. It is likely variations of this will occur as redevelopment takes place that also conform to the planning principles and concepts recommended for the revitalization of this area. So what we are saying is this is one option. There may be a whole lot of other different options that exist out there, provided they implement what the plan calls for. It shows area A, Area A shows three-line Livingston Road with buildings closer to the street for safe pedestrian circulation, a public gathering focal point, bus rapid station stop, and greenway connection to existing trail system. Area B shows low-intensity live, work, and senior living, and a transition to the Broad Creek Historic District. Next slide. This slide represents the existing zones within the study area. Most of the uses along Livingston Road are permitted uses in various commercial zones that includes highway-oriented uses, retail and service commercial activities, and office use. Industrial uses are mostly within the light industrial zone that allows light intensity manufacturing, warehousing, and distribution uses. Reserved open space and open space zones provide for permanent maintenance of land in undeveloped state and designed to protect environmentally sensitive areas. The development as it is today is under the existing zoning and is unresponsive to the market change and not appropriate for the mixed-use development envisioned for the area. Next slide. This slide shows the proposed zoning map. The new zoning code offers opportunities for the development in an area envisioned as a transit village in the Henson Creek South Potomac Master Plan. Mix of uses can encourage people to live and work in the area, which helps a place to be vibrant beyond 9 to 5 and encourages socialization. This new flexible zoning tool were approved in 2018 to replace the existing zoning tools that have been in place for decades. The new zoning ordinance is more user-friendly with diagrams and illustrations of product examples. Your support to adopt the county map amendment, which is in progress right now, sometime this year, will be a step towards the implementation of the study area vision. The new zoning ordinance does not go into effect until the adoption of the countywide map amendment. There are 2 commercial zones proposed in the study area that will be discussed in the following slide. Next slide. This slide shows the proposed commercial general office zone. The purposes and the office zone purposes and illustrative examples of appropriate density and building height. One of the purposes of the commercial general office zone is to provide land for diverse range of businesses, civic and mixed-use development, typically at or near major intersections where visibility and good access are important, and balanced automobile access and pedestrian friendliness. Another one is to incorporate development with multiple uses, sharing parking, coordinated signage, and you name it. To accommodate high-density residential uses as part of vertical or horizontal mixed-use development. Next slide. This slide shows the proposed commercial service zone purposes and the illustrative examples of approximate density and building height. One of the purposes of the proposed commercial service zone is to provide for a concentration of retail sales and services, including auto-related commercial uses, office and eating and drinking establishments. The other is to accommodate medium to high density residential development as part of the mixed-use development. Next slide. This is a slide that shows the purposes, density ranges, and building height of the proposed industrial employment zone. One of the purposes of industrial employment zone is to develop a mix of employment research and light industrial uses and development with an expectation of high quality design that is set apart from the high traffic generating commercial zones and residential communities. The second is to accommodate limited development, residential development, and to ensure compatibility between industrial development and nearby residential uses. Next slide. This is a slide that shows the purposes and density ranges of proposed residential single-family attached zone. One of the purposes of residential single-family attached zone is to provide for development in the form that supports residential living and walkability and pedestrian-oriented. The second purpose is to provide development that is respectful of the natural features of land and to provide development that is compatible with surrounding lands. What is common with all these new zones that I just kind of talked about? They all allow residential development as part of the mix, which the previous zone, the current zone that we are using now, does not. Next slide. With the approval of the county map amendment to put the new ordinance on the ground, quality pedestrian-oriented mixed-use development is possible within the study area. When you look at the picture that is shown, even though there's nobody shown in there, but what you see is commercial development on the ground level and residential development on top. So can you imagine the possibility of this happening in Henson Creek Village study area? Anyway, we hope that after the county map amendment is approved, there will be a great opportunity for developers to give us a good product. Next step. Next slide. In the coming months, there are a lot of things to be done, starting from with hiring a consultant or a specialist to undertake the economic and market study of the area. By identifying a potential specialty market and developing implementation strategies and actions to redevelop the area into a pedestrian-oriented mixed-use village. Another consultant will be hired to evaluate the environment so that we can address best practice methods on how to protect, enhance, and perhaps restore, while at the same time providing options or opportunities for creative ways for recreation public education, and perhaps research. Within the next few months, there will be key stakeholder interviews and several community meetings to share information and receive feedback, but no dates have been set yet. Having said this, I will call on Fred to give you, take a little 5-second commercial break and tell you something that we need to all know about and participate in. Okay, Fred, come on.
Well, thank you, Chidi, for that good overview of the Henson Creek Village study. And at this point, I do, as Chidi mentioned, want to take a little bit of a break, but it is an important one because I really want to remind everyone, next slide, please, remind everyone that you need to be counted. Census 2020 is here, and it is important for you to participate in this for a couple of reasons. First is representation. We want to make sure that Prince George's County, Prince Georgians are well represented, and the census could have repercussions regarding redistricting. We also want to have the demographic data up to date so that we know, who lives here, and we can adapt our plans and our studies and our community engagement to address our population. And then also very important is resource allocation. Every person that does not is not counted or fails to be counted really does cost the county a significant amount of money. In the 2010 census, it's estimated that Prince George's County lost about $363 million. So it cost Maryland approximately $18,250 over 10 years. So this equates to the state losing about $26.6 billion of funding that could be available to us and to help improve the quality of life in our county. Next slide. So for Census 2020, every household will be receiving mailings. And this mailing has been going out. I think there's been a mailing going out since March 12th to March 20th. And I know that that time has been extended to respond to the census because of the coronavirus situation. I, as a matter of fact, completed my census yesterday, and the way it works is you get first a notification in just a regular business size envelope, and there's a code there. It says that the census is coming your way, and then at about a week or so later, you get a larger envelope in the mail, and that is the actual information to get online so that you can complete the census. And for those that are not that don't want to complete it online, there are hard copies that are available that you can complete manually if you call into the number it's shown on this slide. So it's really easy. It only takes about 10 to 15 minutes to complete the census information and to send that in. So please do encourage your family, your friends, and other community members to participate because, again, as I said, representation and resource alliance and resource allocation and demographic information is really important to our whole planning process. Next slide. Next slide. So on this slide, we do have a couple of images of some of the foundational documents for this particular study. We have the Planned Prince George's 2035 and the approved Henson Creek South Potomac Master Plan. As I said, these are foundational works that are going to help inform the village area study. And if you want to learn more about these documents, the web pages are shown below on each document. Next slide. So again, I do want to thank everyone for their participation in this informational session, in this community meeting. And it's our hope that this study will be a tool to promote economic revitalization in the area, and also to help with placemaking activities as a result of very robust public engagement that we anticipate, and also that could activate our streetscapes in the area through appropriate and compatible mixed-use development and appropriate and compatible infill construction. So with that, I do want to at least conclude this formal portion of our presentation, the PowerPoint presentation, and again thank Chidi and our team here, and of course our council member Anderson Walker for orchestrating this community event.
Great. Thank you so much, Chidi and Fred. Really appreciate that. Very thorough. I'm sure many of you perhaps have questions. If you do, feel free to go to the icon at the top of your screen, kind of the center of your screen, to ask your questions. It's right next to the microphone. I do want to also let you know that we are going to have a survey that we would like for you all to fill out with regard to this area and how we're moving forward with planning, just to get an idea of the demographic that has today. So if you could fill that out, we'd deeply appreciate it. We have recorded this planning meeting, this charrette, and this will be available on our social media pages, so that if you think you may have missed something, you can always go back and take another look. We do want you to be involved. I'm just so grateful that you all were able to get online today, and thank you again to Maryland National Capital Park and Planning. You all are phenomenal partners. We look forward to this continuation. We do want to mention that there was to have been an initial meeting to discuss what the CMA process is, which you heard about. That is the process of solidifying how we're going to move forward with our plan. So I might actually switch back over to you, Fred, so you can give us an idea of the timing. I understand that meeting was canceled. It was supposed to have taken place on the 23rd. Is that right?
Do you want to address that? I'm sorry, I don't think I quite caught that question, please.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. The CMA process, the countywide map amendment process,
yes.
Update meeting was, or at least one in Largo was supposed to have taken place, I want to say, on March 24th, and that was canceled, presumably due to the COVID-19.
Right.
So what's the plan for people getting information on the CMA process? I want people to understand that this is part of the development process too. As you mentioned, the zoning rewrite, which was voted up, and steps for getting that implemented is going through the CMA process. But it's important for people to understand what that process entails, and that the community is involved in that. So I do want to, if you have dates, great. If you don't have dates, we can put that on our site once you do have any updates.
Okay. I'm getting a little bit of feedback on the voice and echoing, but I kind of got the gist of that. So as far as the meeting being canceled, yes, that was canceled because of the present situation that we've had with the coronavirus. I'm not sure when that meeting will actually take place or when it's been rescheduled. So we will certainly keep everyone notified so that we can get as much public participation as possible. Chidi, did you want to mention anything?
Yeah. This is Chidi speaking again. The process, as I know, is after the public hearing, then staff will take the comments that they receive from communities and do what they call digest of testimony. And then after that, they will be presented to the planning board. After the planning board adopts the recommendations of staff, then they will transmit it to the council. And it's expected to be completed by, I believe, in November.
November, yes.
So, but the process now, we don't know
Mm-hmm.
since the public hearing has been canceled.
Right.
So
should
we stay tuned.
That'll be pushed back for maybe about another 6 months or so?
I'm not sure. I know we can find out and let you know.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Just keeping us updated. I do want to also mention the importance of being counted in the census is because of these health issues we're going through now. To have an accurate count means that we have accurate amount of supplies, that our hospitals and medical facilities are prepared for support in the event that there needs to be vaccines created. We have a good number that we can base the preparation of those vaccines. So this is critical. It is critical that that everybody be counted. So please make sure that you do that. And again, I'll just mention it's my2020census.gov. You can actually go online to participate and have your family counted. And that's everybody in your family, please. I think that moving forward, we definitely want to make sure that we have health in all of our policies. So health in any kind of development, that's environmental health, that is, health related to mental health as well as our physical health. And certainly health is our wealth. There's recognition that we want to build communities that are going to allow us to flourish and allow us opportunities to pass down value in our properties to, which is our wealth, passing that down. We know the difference. Affluence is what you spend. Wealth is what you can pass down. So that's really what we want here. We don't want housing that's going to compete with values in the area. So looking at more vertical development is probably where we want to focus, and definitely getting thoughtful solutions to amenities and amenity support, which includes health, of course, and education within nodes, development nodes, specifically for this area. I think that there may be some questions, so I'm just trying to see what may have come up. Are there still plans for rapid transit from National Harbor to Virginia? Well, I'm going to ask this a different way. I have asked in our my role on Transportation Planning Board through COG to look at opportunities to get transit from Virginia, Northern Virginia, into Prince George's County, but specifically at National Landing, which is the headquarters, one of the headquarters for Amazon. There's already BRT, bus rapid transit, and dedicated bus lanes already at that site. So we just want to see a continuation of that over the Woodrow Wilson Bridge into Prince George's County. That distance is literally 6 miles, and we want to be able to benefit from the economic development that can come from having that. It's more likely to get bus rapid transit than to get rail, and that is because rail is expensive and time consuming. We do know that the Woodrow Wilson Bridge is already, when it was constructed or redesigned, it was done so with the expectation that there could be transit to come over. So we could immediately utilize those central lanes for bus rapid transit. That's just something that we know we can move quickly on, and it's low expense when comparing to other options. What it can also do is allow for ancillary businesses to Amazon and other businesses in the region, for that matter, to be based in Prince George's County, because we know that transportation is one of the first steps to economic development. When you have a good transit set up, then you have great economic development, and that's just facts. So yes, getting transit over the Woodrow Wilson Bridge into Prince George's County, and then developing more connectivity, transit connectivity throughout the county. It's fairly easy, as we know, to get out of the county, but we're looking for economic development within the county. So in doing that, we must look at transit options that will allow the connectivity to go from this part of the county, the southern part, Prince George's, and where I'm sitting right now at National Harbor, and connect around to towards the east, which is directionally where we're trying to go. So that's a great question. There's a question, but I'll let you, if you have something else to add, Chidi, please.
No, not that I know of. We don't have the expertise, here. But I will check with the state to find out if there is any plan for the extension of some kind of transit along Oxon Hill and National Harbor.
Right, and in our future charrettes, we will have State Highway Administration and DPW&T, that's Department of Public Works and Transportation, to participate. I talked earlier about how this is just the one charrette overview. There will be several others that will focus on specific areas or focal areas. Transit being one, the environment being another, and I think we also said mixed use, or what tenant mixes are you interested in seeing? What is the desire? If we're looking at something like a downtown Fort Washington, what is the desire there? There is a question also, does the study area start at Livingston Square, Giant, and end at Max Sunnybrook? And Chidi, I'll let you answer that.
The study area goes from where the liquor store is, along Livingston, all the way to Old Fort Road and Oxon Hill. So that's the stretch of the commercial corridor where we are looking at.
Okay, what's the next question that we have here? Okay, we have another question. Is Maryland National Capital Park and Planning personnel available to answer questions via email?
Yes.
The email, my email address and Adele's email address are contained in the PowerPoint. So you can direct any questions that you have, and if we cannot answer it, we'll find the appropriate person to respond.
Okay. Okay. I see a question regarding the, will there be meetings to discuss the Branch Avenue corridor? I mean, certainly. I will say this, for the last budget season, I did request 2 planning areas for review. One is this one, and the other is in Temple Hills, Maryland, right at Temple Hills and Allentown Road, which is a corridor that that needs revitalization. Branch Avenue is certainly in the process of coming online with a new 500,000 square foot development of United States Citizens Immigration Services building, which is an agency of a sub-agency, I guess, of Department of Homeland Security. So we're anticipating about 3,500 people plus working there at that site. There is new development that has come up in that area or is in process as well, these types of amenities. But certainly that's definitely something that that we will be focusing on too down the road. I just want to make sure I get to as many questions as possible, because I know we do have a cutoff time at 8. But while I'm looking at questions, let me remind you that we do have a survey, and you should be able to find the survey within the chat area. The survey, we would love for you all for everyone to answer and just get back, fill it out. You can fill it out right now as we're talking. We do also want to remind you that the full recording of this charrette is going to be on our social media within 48 hours. We'll download it onto YouTube, and then from there we'll put it onto our social media. You can certainly share it if you'd like. You can always go back, and as Chidi mentioned, you can get his contact information and Adele's contact information as well for any questions that you do have with regard to this planning process. All right.
I also want to add that we're going to be having posting a website, a page for this project within the next few days. So you will be welcome to go on the web and ask any questions or whatever, and progress in this project.
Yeah, you know what? If you could just say that one more time, Chidi. I think you're breaking up a little bit. Just one more time.
I say that the planning department will develop a web page just for this project.
Yeah.
So, community or citizens can go in and view where we are in the process.
Mm-hmm. Okay. There's a great question someone asked. Considering all of this is based on the 2006 plan, how does this current plan reflect the Fort Washington area of today? Brilliant question. This area has an educated workforce, relatively high median housing prices, a lot of open lots that are undeveloped, and a major thoroughfare 210. What about development of Tantalon Square, old casino land, etc.? Chidi, I think I'll let you, when you say old casino land, I'm assuming you're referring to the one of the sites that was owned by Park Casino.
Is that the KDOT property?
I'm sorry?
Is that the KDOT?
The KDOT property, KDOT, yes.
I don't know anything about the property at this point. And we don't have any active development proposal that we are looking at, so I can't say too much about it.
I think that's a great question, whoever asked that question. I will say that there is, at the heart of your question is the 2006, based on something from 2006. And I've said forever, there's a ready, set, go process with these plans that do get published. The ready is like 10 years before the go. So when you're looking at 2006 publication, that was probably something that was in the works maybe 10 to 8 years before then. We have had great changes that have occurred just within the last year and a half, and specifically with the newest tenant in our area, Amazon. But my personal thought is we need to reprioritize, and we've also had significant rainfall. So not everything that's clear land needs to be developed. I do want to say that some of the focus, because of our stormwater management challenges and our WSSC capacity, that area is actually that pumping station is over capacity, and as a result, there are a lot of flooding issues that occur as a result of WSSC pumping station being over capacity. So we're trying to work within smart development decisions where we're looking at more infill redevelopment. And infill redevelopment, I'll let Chidi maybe speak to what infill redevelopment is, but it's essentially not creating any additional impervious surface. Chidi, do you want to answer that or speak to that?
My understanding of infill development is where you have the opportunity to redevelop some areas that may not be responsive to the market. So along the Livingston Road, there may be some old or obsolete, properties that may want to redevelop, taking advantage of the new zone that is being developed, to respond to the current market.
And also, infill development has some specifications regarding design, contextual and sensitive.
Mm-hmm. Well, definitely moving forward, we want to be sensitive. We have a significant amount of flooding that takes place in this part of the county due to topography and maybe irresponsible development, for that matter. So we do want to, regardless of how we're looking at zones, we need to be thoughtful about the impacts. Livingston Road is a road that typically gets flooded, and so to develop anything would be very problematic because it would create more. When I say Livingston Road, that particular area, that Park Casino land, is in an immediate area that's in floodplain. So that's not my call, but I will say that we're looking in the way we plan to be thoughtful about how we develop so that we don't develop just to develop because it's available, and that we don't hurt people and hurt their values. What we have seen is that flooding does hurt values. The houses that take in water from the exterior, it's different when your sump pump breaks and water comes in from underneath your house, but when it comes in from the outside, that's not covered by insurance. And that's generally out of pocket. And when that shows up in your CLUE report, it's hard to sell your home, quite frankly. So we want to be thoughtful about the wealth part, which is, I think, been a main point that I have made. We want wealth development through economic development. We don't want to hurt values in the process, sacrifice some people for development. We don't want to do that. So let me get to the another question that was asked. And we probably should steer clear of specific properties, but I will say that there is a question here about park area in Temple Hills. What are we doing about the inadequate lighting along Brinkley Road? And what is the plan for developing the park on Temple Hills Road? There is no play area for kids other than dirt fields.
I think that will be forwarded to the Parks Department. And Brinkley Road is not part of this study area.
I do understand.
I'm going to be able to answer that.
Okay. All right.
But I'll make a note of it.
With all of the residents now living at National Harbor, why isn't there a grocery store there? Yeah, I mean, these are things that we're looking. The whole purpose of this is because we recognize we need to have these opportunities for grocery stores, and not just one, multiples. And these are all things that we're in process. Please don't think that this is being overlooked. It's a big part, and that's why we're having these charrettes, so that you can voice your opinion, and we can get those exciting retailers that you're interested in, that you need. We want to serve you. So this is very important. Thank you for the question. What does it mean that the corridor status of 210 was removed? Why was it removed? We might have to save that for a different charrette when we're focusing on transit and transportation, but specifically with State Highway Administration. I think I know what your question is, but I would want someone from that office to answer that. And I don't think Park and Planning, Maryland National Capital Park and Planning would be the ones to answer that. Do you feel comfortable answering that, though, Chidi?
Not at this point.
Okay. Okay, what is the plan for inclusion of affordable housing in the new residential development? Great question. I am putting forth a bill, which is essentially an inclusionary zoning bill, but we don't call it inclusionary zoning. It's called social living, where the focus is looking at how development can take place. Any development that does take place moving forward is vertical. That's one, and that it includes people of multiple income levels and ages, and we call it kind of bell curve living. So a bell, as you know, the shape of a bell. You have that standard deviation in a bell curve, which is about 70%, and then you have those wings that are about 15%. So we're looking at, and then they're graded. As that lower part of the bell comes down, we have, 80% AMI, 70, 60, and down to 30% AMI, and that's the average median income. The purpose of this kind of look at housing is so that we don't have situations where we have senior housing and affordable housing. We're looking at just housing and being inclusive in how we look to build sustainable development sites. We have seen, unfortunately, that because of the way affordable and senior housing is incentivized, they are great in the beginning, but the developers get paid up front, and they're not incentivized really to continue to invest in that site. So we see disinvestment over a period of time, and the people for whom it was allegedly built get priced out right around year 6 and 7. So we don't want that. We want people who are in situations where it's difficult for them to pay to be able to stay. And looking at this bell curve living allows that 70% to be market rate, so that this could be a sustainable model. And the 70% might be something that we even have to be a little bit flexible on as we pro forma out how the development will look. But in that as well, there would be commercial components to that, so that literally one can live, work, play in their node. This would also justify transit. When you have density like this, you can justify transit coming to your area. We've had an unfortunate situation throughout the county of WMATA actually shutting down some of our bus routes, and doing that because maybe the ridership was just too low. So when we're looking at development, we need to look at it in a big picture way. How we can sustain people, how there's a health component to it, how we have entertainment, how to have education built into this, and how we have transportation to be a part of it. So hopefully that has answered your question. Chidi, is there something that you want to add to that?
No, not at this point. If there is any issue about housing, at least, I think we need to contact the Prince George's County Housing and Community Development pertaining to, workforce housing and affordable housing issues.
Well, these are great questions, because I think what they're getting to is when we're looking at redevelopment of this area, how are we looking at being inclusive? So these are great questions, and this is just the beginning. This is just our first charrette. We're popping the questions down, so we will attempt to direct them to the proper agency if we can't answer them here. I have a viewer saying they cannot find the survey, so let's help you with that. It should be popping up right now. Hopefully you see it. Okay, these have been incredible, great questions. The information we've gotten today has been very helpful. Thank you again so much, Chidi. definitely can't thank you enough for taking the time. I understand that under these circumstances, it's a little challenging getting this together, but now it's work. Yes, it does. Even though we're going to wrap up a little early, I think it's I think that the questions have probably been asked, and again, we will have follow-ups. So just as a recap to how we will move forward with regard to next charrette. The plan is to engage you, the community, our stakeholders, and certainly our Maryland National Capital Park and Planning through this process, but to look at the environmental scope of what's involved in a redevelopment of a site like this, how we can focus on infill redevelopment, looking at the transit options and transportation, just how we will move throughout this area. There was a plan some time ago about that 210 corridor having all the lights removed all the way down from the Beltway into Charles County. And if that is the case, then there's a recognition that the access points to that area that we focused on today, that Livingston Square area, will be limited. So we do need to talk with State Highway Administration about how is this going to look? How do we get access? And then, of course, your tenant mix, what you want to see, what you, the people, the community wants to see in their, essentially, their downtown Fort Washington area. So on that note, I do want to thank you. I do want to remind you to please fill out your census, and also remind you that this recording will be available within the next 48 hours. I do want to also let you know that my prayers continue to be with all of us, our families, with whatever your individual challenges are. We're all going to get through this, and we're going to get through this together. I always say, try to find the blessing in adversity. And this is a challenging time, and we do recognize it. But, there's so much that comes out of being in situations like this. I think we get very creative. I think we become very introspective. I think that we have opportunities to connect with people in a different way. I think for me, slowing down has been a blessing. Reflecting, all of these are good things. And really focusing on my health, which one would think we would be doing every day anyway. But I think this takes it to another level. And checking in on people. It's just so important to be connected in a real way. I'm sorry that this meeting is not face-to-face, but I do look forward to our next meeting being in person. And I hope that does happen soon, but not too soon. We want to make sure everybody's okay, that we're out of the woods. To take care of each other, take care of yourselves. Contact my office with any challenges, anything that you need. We're here for you, and we're deeply appreciative of you, the community, and certainly with our partnerships. So be well, be safe, be blessed, and be healthy. Stay healthy. All right, you all have a wonderful evening. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.